Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Tasmania's first bulk billed urgent care clinic will open at the end of the month, with 3 more set to follow. While there's hopes they can ease the ED logjam, there's warnings too. They're just one piece of the puzzle.
The first dose of a long-awaited election promise. The Launceston Health Hub will house one of 4 urgent care clinics promised by the federal government.
This is about taking pressure off the hospital system, but also recognising just how hard it is to access a GP.
From July 31, walk-in bulk billed healthcare will be available 7 days a week, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Our GPs are committed to opening extra hours on Saturday and Sunday, and we've also had expression of interest from some other practitioners in the area that are looking to join the team.
40% of emergency department attendees are classed as non-urgent or semi-urgent. It's hoped directing those people here can improve flow.
Breakage, a non-complex fracture, a wound, maybe a minor burn that might otherwise have been waiting for a long period of time based on triage need at the ED at the LGH.
There will be some benefit in it, but it's only a small part of the puzzle. There's a lot more we have to do.
The AMA's concerned there's overlap between these clinics and general practice, warning it's no silver bullet.
There is a risk that it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's just rather than supporting good general practice, it's already performing these services.
The wait for 3 more clinics continues, 2 in the south and 1 in the northwest.
I'm hoping that we'll be able to make announcements in coming weeks, and we certainly expect them all to be up and running before the end of the year.
Providing a much needed boost. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Renewed calls for information over the brutal killing of a Northwest man have been issued by Tasmania Police. Simon Crisp was outside Marrawar pub when he was fatally shot 10 years ago. His killers yet to be brought to justice.
A decade on from a harrowing murder which rocked a close-knit northwest town, Simon Crisp was killed outside the local tavern on July 13, 2013. Despite months of following leads, including the search of 3 nearby properties, his killer still has not been found.
We're just requiring further information to be able to gather evidence, to be able to bring the person or persons responsible and put them before the court.
Investigators are still keeping eye on a small number of persons of interest. However, the flow of information has slowed down in the past 12 months, prompting the renewal for new details.
This is an extreme act for someone to take place, and certainly Simon didn't deserve to have his life taken for whatever motivations there may be.
A $500,000 reward remains on offer, with hope someone still has key information to help solve the case.
The money is still available for people who can provide that crucial information to enable a successful prosecution before the courts.
Crime Stoppers Tasmania pleading with residents of the West Coast community to speak up if they know something.
Nobody deserves to be murdered in our state, in our country or anywhere around the world, and this is what's happened in this small tight-knit community.
Anyone giving information to Crime Stoppers can remain anonymous. Mark Zita, 7 Tasmania News.
With campaigning on the Voice Referendum heating up, a spokesperson for the No campaign, Warren Mundine, is touring the state and meeting with communities.
We don't need this in the Constitution. We don't need race going back into the Constitution. We want everyone to be treated equal in this country.
The date for the referendum hasn't been set, but it is expected to be held between September and December. A 66-year-old Mayina man has been charged over a fire which destroyed a Hyden Lakes home yesterday morning. He is facing arson, aggravated burglary and stealing charges, along with firearm possession and storage offences. Police were called to the Mayina property about 7 a.m. A close neighbouring building was spared any damage. Where a new helipad will be built to support the LGH is being scrutinised by a special Public Works Committee. Representatives from the Department of Health fronting the hearing at Henty House this afternoon. The panel looking into whether or not it should be built on top of the Western car park. The state government has already set aside $15 million for the project. The original Ockerby Gardens did not meet updated Civil Aviation Safety Authority guidelines. It was based at the Launceston Airport temporarily. In breaking news, a new mayor has been decided for Launceston. For more, we're joined live by Mark Zita outside Town Hall. Mark, who will be Launceston's next mayor?
Kim, Councillor Matthew Garwood can remove acting from his title after being confirmed as Launceston's next leader. At midday, Councillor Garwood led the first preference count, 38% of the votes. Despite the lead, Andrea Dawkins garnered more votes in the subsequent counts. But Councillor Garwood was able to secure an absolute majority in the final preference distribution. Matthew Garwood would now replace Danny Gibson, who resigned after only 7 months in the role following questions over the status of his Working with Vulnerable People check. It's understood Councillor Andrea Dawkins will retain the role of Deputy Mayor. Kim?
Okay, thank you very much there, Mark Zeta. Well, a beloved wildlife sanctuary has been listed for sale after nearly 25 years of business. Tea Tree's Zulu Zoo is on the market with a price tag of nearly $4 million. Its owner, Donna Cuttress, says it was a difficult decision but is confident new owners will bring fresh ideas and new opportunities to the table. Donna also adding she would like to see the zoo continue operating. Hobart has been voted the top city in Australia, New Zealand and the South Pacific in a global survey. Thousands of travel and leisure readers rated cities on their sites, landmarks, culture, cuisine and friendliness. The capital received the top score of 88.44. Sydney and Melbourne came in at third and fourth. Tasmania's wine season has produced modest volumes but excellent quality. Despite a challenging year, more than 12,000 tonnes of grapes were harvested, with nearly 900,000 cases of wine set to be produced in the 2023 vintage. Tasmanian grapes are now also worth nearly $3,400 a tonne, compared with a national average about $600 a tonne. Meanwhile, Tasmania is preparing to give Ireland a taste of some of its finest liquor. 8 local distilleries will have a presence at Belfast Whisky Week, with fine dining dinners and sampling events lined up to showcase their craft.
Tasmania has some of the purest ingredients in the world for producing award-winning whisky. But it's really the collaboration and the collaborative force of the distillers that really has an impact on the world stage.
The way that we're aging our whisky with the environment that we have down here in Tasmania does produce a very high quality product and a different product, and they recognise that, especially the mature market.
And they'll have no time to rest, jumping straight into Tasmanian Whisky Week as soon as they get back. Well, a Tasmanian Olympian who watched the Queen's Domain Athletic Centre bear the brunt of time was on hand today to see its fresh new look unveiled. The makeover of the Tide facility is aiming at keeping athletes safe and boost grassroots participation.
Training at the Queen's Domain Athletic Centre roughly 5 times a week for the past 20 years, Olympian Hamish Peacock was one of many who recognised the need for improvement.
The asphalt deteriorated over the years as rock that was sort of getting scraped around, lots of kids' carnivals, and you're having to scrape it off the track and the runways. There was some drainage issues.
The holes in the facility and that sort of thing, it was always a trip hazard. Like, you had to specifically walk into the circles or onto the Jav runway in a specific way, otherwise you're risking rolling your ankle.
$300,000 later and renovations on the stone-set paving is complete. A majority of that coming from the state government's Improving the Playing Field grants program.
We're not only improving the facilities for grassroots participation, but we're also then able to attract national and sometimes even international championships to facilities like this.
The Hobart City Council also chipping in.
It's really important that we get to national level and a national standard for the safety, benefit and enjoyment of athletes, their coaches and the general public.
It's hoped the fresh facilities will take grassroots javelin, shot put and hammer throwing to new heights and keep elite athletes on home turf. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
A dilapidated former school could be brought back to life as the home of disability support services in Launceston. St Giles has taken back the keys to the old Newstead Heights building, looking to invest millions of dollars into the site.
For decades, Newstead Heights was the nexus for those who needed specialist support. But after 6 years sitting dormant, the 1984 building resembles something of a spooky time capsule, in serious need of some TLC.
Utilise this site and give back to the community, which is the reason that St Giles exists in the first place.
Step 1, bringing the hydrotherapy pool from this back to something more like this.
Because a facility such as that pool doesn't exist currently in the north of the state, one that's purpose-built to service those with a disability.
Upgrading the commercial kitchen is also high on the list, so it can help people train for hospitality work and independent living. The plan is ambitious and has only been made possible after the state government handed over the keys to St Giles this week. The charity estimates the refit to cost around $7 million.
It's certainly a multi-million-dollar activity. You know, there's the initial remediation costs, which we see to be quite significant, but depending on the ultimate purpose for the building, could see that dollar value vary.
As a start, local architecture firm 60 Degrees is helping draw up the project free of charge.
There's probably 12 to 18 months worth of work from us to get this to a point where we can start building.
And coming full circle from the past to now. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian man has set out on a mission to run at twice the height of Mount Everest. Ben Hurst will spend the next week jogging up Canunny Mount Wellington more than 21 times, covering 66 kilometres each day. The gruelling challenge is all for a good cause, with Ben promoting suicide prevention while also celebrating a decade of Stay Chatty.
It really symbolises those day-to-day struggles that people with poor mental health face, and you know, it really can feel like climbing a mountain.
The awareness is the largest element for us in what Ben's creating here today, and that positive ripple effect, but funds are always our ability to keep functioning.
Members of the public can help Ben reach his $10,000 goal by donating to the link on his Run for Mental Health Facebook page. 3 new police recruits are ready to hit the streets with their handlers. Tala, Amara and Meg have graduated from the police dogs course and will be working to keep criminals on a short leash.
So it's usually about 500 warrant searches per year, and the rest of the time these dogs patrol the front line. They work at random breath tests, helping with drug screening.
They're able to get into areas and detect things that otherwise we can't as human police officers. So they really add to our capability.
The dogs have been in the course since April and are trained by being exposed to 500 samples of illicit substances.
The Hobart Chargers are very much charging towards finals, and only their northwest rivals stand in their way. The men's side must beat the Thunder on Friday night to have a shot at sneaking into the final 8. With 4 wins on the trot, the competition is taking note.
You talk to a lot of the coaches coming in or the teams we've played against, and they basically come up at the end of the games going, geez, you don't want to meet you guys come playoff time. Let's hope you don't make it.
The curtain raiser will see the Chargers women host the Tawns in a dead rubber. Only local pride is on the line.
Launceston have touched us up a couple of times over the last couple of years, and we had a good showing against them in the last game last season. We really want to come into Friday's game and really give it a good shake.
It's been a really inconsistent season with us players in and out, and you know that's had a bit of an impact. So it's definitely we're already forward planning for season 2024.
The Tawns will be without Keely Frolling, Macy Crawford and Charlie Kay.
Today, Hobart and Burnie 16, Launceston and Devonport both 15 degrees. A very mild 18 for Bushy Park, 17 for Friendly Beaches and Grove, King Island, Wynyard, St Helens and Marai Island all 16, Flinders Island, Low Head and Strawn 15, 8 the top for Lyweenie. The visible satellite picture of Tasmania shows low-level cloud across the state. Now, low-level cloud continues over Tasmania and southwestern WA. Onshore winds are producing low-level cloud about coastal parts of Queensland, with some high cloud visible over South Australia and Victoria. Tomorrow, the high sits over the Tasman Sea, extending a ridge over the mainland as a cold front moves over the southwest of WA. To coastal waters, northwesterly winds 30 to 40 knots about the south at first, and strengthening about western and northern waters in the afternoon and evening. The west and south can expect westerly swells up to 6 metres, 2 to 3 metres in the north and up to 3 metres offshore in the south. A gale warning has been issued between Sandy Cape and east of Flinders Island, also from Tasman Island to Sandy Cape. There is also a strong wind warning between east of Flinders Island to Tasman Island, the southwest lakes, Bank Strait and Franklin Sound. Now, those mild conditions continue in the south tomorrow. Hobart and New Norfolk both 18 degrees. A shower or 2 for Cygnet. Partly cloudy in Launceston and Devonport with 15. Similar conditions in Devonport. Burnie and Smithton, partly cloudy. Showers and windy in Strawn, 15's the top there. Now that cloud still hanging around the east coast tomorrow, 16 for St Helens, 17 in Swansea and 15 in Fingal. The forecast for Friday, showers most likely about the west and north. We can still expect those strong and gustily northwesterly winds, likely to ease during the morning. Saturday, showers statewide, although little reaching the east, with snow falling to 800 metres in the morning, with possible hail in the west and far south. Sunday, showers more likely about the west, with westerly winds, particularly in the south. Taking a look at the mainland tomorrow, sunny in Broome and Alice Springs, a shower or two in Cairns with 27. Canberra can expect a morning frost, windy in Melbourne and 15. Currently in Hobart, partly cloudy, 16 degrees, possible showers in Launceston and also possible showers in Devonport with 13. Kim, that's all from me this evening and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.
Pretty mild out there in Hobart, 18 tomorrow. Very unseasonal. Thank you so much, Kaya. That is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us this evening. Have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow as well. Good night.